Ah, you made it. Please have a seat, sit back, and enjoy your complimentary refreshments. My name is Matt, and I've been working on a game called Isle Goblin for about 20 months now. If it were a baby, it would have just started having tantrums, separation anxiety, and a propensity for physical violence. And I've got lots of new stuff to show, and I'm particularly excited to show you the finished intro cutscene for the game, but before I do all that, I want to give a real quick overview of what the game is for anyone new here. In Isle Goblin, you play as a goblin fighting off invading humans. A typical day involves improving your town, befriending the NPCs, farming, tending to your goblin-y livestock, and crafting. Then going out to explore the island, fight human bosses, and pillage dungeons. The game supports multiplayer with up to 7 of your goblin pals, and the island is procedurally generated with multiple floors to keep things interesting. If I had to describe it in terms of other games, I'd say it's a lot like a top-down version of Terraria, just with more of an emphasis on NPCs having lives of their own. Kinda like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon. So the last thing I want is to make a full game, only to realize that a fundamental part of it isn't fun and have to redo a bunch of stuff. So the strategy has been to get all the mechanics done first, like farming, fighting, etc., and then once that little demo feels polished and fun, I can fill it with content. I've been toying with my demo for months now, and it's feeling pretty good. There are just 3 things I want to add before I enter the content filling stage. Number 1, a mail system. My issue was that if an NPC had like 4 things that they wanted to talk to you about, it felt a bit strange to get a stream of important dialogues from them all at once. Like, hey, thanks for fixing the bridge, here's some wood, and then, hey, thanks for moving my house closer to the river, here's a hat. You know, it was a little obnoxious. A mail system would let them notify you or thank you for things in a way that could be staggered more organically. To implement this, I made it so that when you're exploring, you'll inevitably find this one-eyed crow that can bring you letters from your peers. You can open up this simple menu where you'll see all the letters that your trusty pal has gathered, and gifts can be received from them as well. The second mechanic I wanted was to allow other towns of friendly NPCs to spawn on the island besides yours. The island right now has plenty of biomes and different unique things that make each biome interesting, but it still feels a bit lifeless at times. I really wanted to be able to have other NPCs that you weren't responsible for to help make the island really feel alive and not so desolate. Imagine exploring to maybe find a lost adventurer kobold trying to find a hidden library, or maybe a town of fellow goblins. To start, I modified my NPC spawning code to allow for other NPCs to appear, and drew a few desert goblins. I gave them a little town of their own and some simple dialogues. It's all pretty basic right now, but the details can come later. Next up, I wanted some way to teleport around the island once you're done with an area. The island is pretty huge, and it got a bit annoying to walk for ages just to get to a coastline or an area you want to visit. I ended up adding these little turtle creatures that say there's too much pollution for them to dig safely, and you have to clear all the pollution goop from the area in order to gain access to them. Once you do, they'll happily take you to any other turtle that you've already unlocked. And with that, all the main mechanics for the game are essentially done, and it's really just a matter of adding in content. This is a really huge milestone that I've been chasing for a year and a half now. The game really feels like a game. A really short one, but a game nonetheless. I've scrapped some mechanics and added some new ones, and I think it's finally been tweaked to the point of being good enough. I've been playtesting it relentlessly along with the 120 or so Patreon members that I've given early access to. At this point, it just needs more stuff. By the way, if you head on over to the Steam page by typing in Isle Goblin, you can wishlist to get an email when it does come out, and you can also request playtest access if you want while you're there. I plan to let some people in for public playtesting once I have the demo done in April-ish, but that timeline may change. And while you're clicking buttons, liking the video and telling me your favorite joke in the comments is a good way to get Father YouTube algorithm to shine his blessings upon me. I do read every comment as they pop up on my phone, so leave me something nice to look at. But back to the new stuff. I want the initial demo to have a polished first and second floor, with the third floor being in the final release eventually. This means filling in these 2 maps with unique and interesting enemies, NPCs, fish, all that stuff. First, some new holiday stuff. In the winter, the goblins will begin the culling ceremony, in which they don their skull masks and head beneath the surface to celebrate by drinking some hearty grog. The bravest among them can go forth to a combat challenge to test their skills. This little underground area actually spawns an entire floor of its own. I didn't want the player to be able to see it or break into it until the holiday started, so it's kind of its own weird little pocket dimension. This took a few days to implement code-wise since maps previously were all expected to be the same size, but I think it's worth it. Next up, I added some town cosmetics. It got boring building a town with just wood, so I added some different materials that could be used to add some spice to your builds. Then the tundra area was feeling a bit empty, so I added a new human ice fortress area. This ice wizard boss froze the surrounding area to make his invasion easier, and it's up to you to take him down. I knew I wanted this boss to have a snaky theme in the second phase where they snake around the map. I was originally going to have it visually crawl around on the surface or maybe fly around, but then I saw how Necess does some of their worm animations where it kind of goes up and down and decided to do something similar. Now I've specifically avoided playing Necess and Corekeeper since they're both very similar to what I'm doing, kind of top-down Terraria type games, and I don't want to copy them or get too used to what they do and start to see it as the correct way to do things. So I've just avoided playing both altogether. I want to make sure I'm putting my own spin on the genre. Except for worm visuals, I'll shamelessly steal that. And lastly, as promised, I finished the intro cutscene and wanted to show you since it took a long time to do. I feel like this doesn't count as spoilers since you see it within the first few seconds of opening the game, so here it is. And that's it, you then spawn into your ruined town and the game begins. I'd like to give a shout out to Ricardo from RMD Compositions for doing an awesome job with the music. I've been paying him to do music for the game and he's been killing it with every track so far, so if you need music for anything, I'd definitely consider checking out his portfolio. And as is tradition with these videos, it's time to list the current wishlist count on Steam. This overview here gives a nice description of why wishlists are important and how many you really need. There's a lot of nuance here and it shouldn't be taken too seriously. There's no magic number, but I'm aiming for about 50,000 wishlists. As of right now, we are at about 36,770, which honestly blows me away. In my early videos, I was crossing my fingers for 10,000, so this is super exciting to see. At the end of the day, I just want to make something fun that everyone can enjoy, that can have a lasting impact on people and be hard to put down, so we'll see how it all goes. And with that, thanks everyone for coming by, and I will see you all next time. Hello everyone, the time has come to shout out our eternally gracious patrons. I'd like to give a super special shout out to our Goblin Deity patrons for October of 2024, namely Zachary Neese, Zach Fox, Charfil, Krakenfall, Joseph Scobby, Megan Palmer, Banana Glove, Reddit Slime on YouTube, Sierra Kovac, Teddy Bear, Enigma77, Snout, Chendrak, Player Unnamed, Colton Reagan, Gilbert Frank, Odie Dragon, Atomic Diamond, Lord Mortimus, Alexander On, Arda Bosdier, Jacob, Pissed Kitty, Emmanuel Hernandez, I'm a Little Sus, Pamcake, Alzern, Dustin Punt, I'm Bad at Choosing Names, Jay Bowman, Dubs with Subs is Best, Anthony, and Cardog. You're all amazing and I appreciate all of the support.